Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 1039, directed by Kenichi Takeshita and supervised by Kenji Yokoyama. While I'm certainly not expecting it to be as strong as last week's episode, this one looks like a decently fun time all the same and will be our little entry gate to pass on to the rest of the Tobiropo fights that'll start soon. And when the episode itself also promises goodies like yet another scene from Naoto Shishida this arc, will episode 1039 be a strong start to this month of episodes? Let's get ready to find out. This episode covers the remainder of chapter 1017 and the first handful of pages of chapter 1018. And it's very obvious that this was an episode that they wanted to remain fairly slow so the Jinbei action could mostly be relegated to next week. And so that means that even though they stick fairly close to the original chapter, that they do insert some slight filler scenes to lengthen stuff out, or just flat out drag some scenes out and or include some flashbacks from fairly recent content, that does feel random and a bit out of place at times. However, in spite of that and some slightly unfitting music choices in some scenes, it wasn't really all that bad as an adaptation because of that, as it's fairly cut and dry since it lifts so much from the manga. And really, of all scenes, it's hardly the worst thing in the world for it to be this content that's stretched out a tad bit, and it still remains watchable and enjoyable even if it's fairly bland. Takeshita's boards are usually quite atmospheric, but as of late it's felt more like his true colors as a rather by-the-numbers storyboard artist has reared its head. With the episode being fairly normal on that front, even if there's a lot of instances of cool angles and carefully polished close-ups of stuff like Who's mask, which is definitely not terrible and is serviceable, but it makes me wonder if maybe some of the really cool stuff that he managed to do all that time ago when he first started out was due in part to Nagami and A's storyboard corrections. But even then, there's still a few really neat shots that he manages to pull out, so perhaps it's more content dependent than anything else. When mixed with Kenji Yokoyama's corrections that are always serviceable and fitting for the characters, and Naoto Shishida's rather random but appreciated all the same appearance with Sanji's attack on Queen and his following hybrid form transformation, that despite not being too crazy is some of my personal favorite Shida animation this arc, 1039 is just decent. It's clearly not trying to be anything amazing, and for what it is as a low priority episode, it does its job right, while also having a few tiny little neat bits of content within it. Saving all the good stuff for next week with episode 1040 in the Jinbei vs Who's Who fight. And while we don't have the staff for it just yet, it looks like Shuichi Ito will be helming the supervision side of things, and we'll definitely be getting some fairly cool bits of animation from people like Chu Young-suh and hopefully many others. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and why is Who's Who always smiling like that?